evening and welcome to the James A. McKee Association. Thank you. 2025 Candidates Night. My name is Kate Anderson Kerrigan, and I'm the current president of the McKee Association. So for over 30 years, the McKee Association has been presenting a Candidates Night opportunity for citizens of Yellow Springs and Miami Township when we have local elections. So tonight, we present to you the candidates for Yellow Springs Mayor and the Yellow Springs Village Council. So each candidate will have an opportunity to give a 5-minute introduction and a 1-minute response to the common question they were all given, which reads, why are you running for elected office, and what 3 items or issues do you feel need attention for the village? Our timekeeper this evening is Dave Turner. Yes. Also ran, Dave Turner. He will assist people in keeping on the timeline, and he will do that by... Oh, did you do it? All right. So he's going to hold a sign up, and you'll hear a beep, beep, beep. Some noise will occur. So thanks, Dave. Tonight, we are really fortunate to have as our moderator, Marcia Barnhart. I know. Marcia is a veteran of radio and television news, stemming from her days working in Ohio and California. Now retired from TV news, she handles PR and media for local clients and volunteers for local nonprofits. So thank you, Marcia. This is the citizens' opportunity to ask questions to candidates directly. Please use the index cards and the pencils we've handed out. If you need one or want one, please hold your hand up and somebody will bring it to you. Please be thoughtful and focused to issues. You may ask a general question of the group or a specific person if you wish. We gather these cards, we hand them to the moderator to present, and it is at her discretion as to the value of a question. There are no rebuttals, but a candidate may ask for clarification of a question. So don't hesitate to ask if you don't understand what's being asked, please. This year, for the first time, we invited Yellow Springs middle and high school students to submit questions. As future civic leaders and community members, they are an important aspect of election process. It's a pleasure to have their participation this evening under the auspices of the Yellow Springs Community Foundation Youth Action Board, now in its 6th year, facilitated by Melissa Heston, who is the outreach manager at the Yellow Springs Community Foundation. So even though she's not here, thank you, Melissa. We of the James A. McKee Association would like to invite you to membership in our important civic work. Please find information about membership on the tables in the rear. At the front table here, we have the McKee family sitting at the front table, Jean, Sandy, and Ryan, and Miss Parker. Yes. Miss Parker. Please think about joining us. So help us continue the work of many decades of Jim McKee, Chief McKee's work towards supporting the Yellow Springs community and the African American community here. So tonight we have invited as our newest members the Youth Action Board. All those kids will now become members of the James A. McKee Association. So this is what democracy looks like. In case you're forgetting. Thank you. So tonight I would like to please welcome, for your consideration, candidates for the office of Yellow Springs Mayor. We have Mark Heise and Steve McQueen for Yellow Springs Council.
Raise your hands because I don't know who you are.
All right, Mark, this is Mark, Heise, Steve McQueen. Good. And for our Yellow Springs Village Council, we have Brian Housh. Oh, yeah, aw. Dino Pallotta, Scott Osterholm, Angie Hsu, Stephanie Pearce, and Senay Semere. So Marcia will take us on a little trip now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate. And I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. This is a great full house. It shows me the interest that you have in your politics in your village, and this is very encouraging. So thank you so much for taking your time to be with us this evening, and to get an up-close and personal look at your candidates. I'm your discussion moderator. I'm going to try to keep all of you on topic, and I want you to try to keep it smooth, you know, for a thoughtful exchange of information, and that's what we're going to do. This is a thoughtful exchange for information. Let's begin. All right. Let's start with the two mayoral candidates, please, Mr. Heise and Mr. McQueen. Mr. McQueen, I must say, between the fashion designer and the actor, I didn't think there was another one. Very good, very good. What were your parents thinking, or were they, you know, was that part of that, to be Steve McQueen? Or I'm just kidding. Just lighten it up a little bit, and just in case you're nervous. Okay. All right. Mr. Heise, sir, why are you running for elected office, and which 3 items or issues do you feel need attention for the village? You guys keep that one and just kind of go back and forth.
There we go.
And I can handle you guys. I can let you use mine.
I'm sorry? Oh, no, I know how to use a microphone.
Do you need me to repeat?
Part of my,
You need
no,
me to-
no, I've got it.
Okay.
Thank you. Part of my resume is that I used to be city sound engineer for the city of San Antonio, so I know how to use a mic. I'm running for mayor because when I found out that Mayor Pam was retiring, I thought that I could do a good job in continuing what she had started. I've spent a lot of time in this community as a volunteer, working on the Communications Commission, and then actually chairing the Communications Commission, having been on it for 2 years, and served 2 years on the Active Transportation Commission as well. I want to continue that kind of work. I've done a lot. I've served as the president of the chamber, brought us out of COVID when the chamber was ready to fold. You don't know how close it was to it just going away. Brought back street fair. Some of you like that, some of you don't. I think it's a great thing. It's what brought me to the village. It's what first introduced me to the village and this place that I love so much. And so I want to continue that. I want to continue doing the things as I did as president of the chamber, going to the State House and representing Yellow Springs and Tourism Day, attracting people to Yellow Springs, showing them what a really great community this is, not just a hippie zoo. I think we have a reputation for that kind of a thing, which is not us. Yeah, we're a bit liberal, but that's not the entire story, and I want to be able to collaborate with other communities, much like Mayor Pam has in the state of Ohio and possibly beyond, to bring people here and have them understand that our true legacy involves Antioch College and involves the social justice movement and a number of other things. So 3 things that I would like to see changed. You know, one of the things about being mayor is that you don't get to be an agent of change. The mayor's position is not a legislative position. It's a judicial position and a ceremonial position. And so if I were to say what I would like to see changed in Yellow Springs, I would like to see more affordable housing. I believe that Yellow Springs needs to be a place that someone who works here can afford to live here. Number 2, and this does have more to do with the mayor's position, I want to examine how we run the mayor's court as far as, is it accessible for folks? It's bad enough somebody actually has to come to the mayor's court. I I want to make sure that we don't have to make people take time off of work to do that. And number three, I think that we need to go out into the community, as I said, go out into the state, the larger community, and promote Yellow Springs as a place that's welcoming to everyone. And I think that's just an attitudinal thing. I'm hoping to change some minds. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. McQueen, do you need the question repeated?
Sure, just for
Certainly.
clarification.
Why are you running for elected office, and which 3 items or issues do you feel need attention for the village?
All right. So, of course, I'd like to first just thank my family for being here. So, why I'm running for mayor? I'm running for mayor because I love this town. I have been here for 23 years. I went to Antioch, and I am what is called an Antioch transplant, someone who comes here and then decides this is where they'd rather be than returning home or going elsewhere. I've never regretted that decision, and this place has saved my life several times. I got to see a community that was willing to embrace someone like myself. That's not always hard to find. Yellow Springs made it look easy, so I'm really, really happy to be here because of that. My love for this community has been shown through the years of service that I've been able to provide and that I truly love to do. It started for me with HRC back in 2014, in which I have to thank Brian Housh and Mary Ann McQueen just for the invitation. Sometimes, HRC is the Human Relations Commission. It was a commission under the Village Council. Yes. Following that, we had the Justice System Task Force, which I was able to provide service for. I was able to be a Community Voices member for WYSO. Then I was on the school board here in Yellow Springs. I am still currently on the school board representing Yellow Springs for the Greene County Career Center. There's some other things there too, but I do want to talk about why I'm running for mayor as well. This place encouraged my skill sets, and that's a tough thing to explain to a lot of people because I was raised by my minister father and to be a minister. And so the concept of getting on a microphone and speaking in front of folks, I didn't realize was a major skill set and one that it can be utilized in very good ways. But the other one was the service to the community. In the church, it's more like the flock. Growing up, after choir rehearsal, we would visit hospitals, we would visit jails, attending weddings, funerals. The concept of being there for your community during the good and during the bad is really key. And I want to make sure that that skill set that I learned growing up is something that I want to utilize here with the position of mayor. And what I can provide as a mayor, something, youth. I can provide some youth, but that youth is with a profound respect for my elders. That's how I was raised, making sure to respect not only the opinions of elders, but their experiences and why they're so important, not just then, but of now. And I've learned so much from this community and their experiences. A lot of the things that we've learned nationally about what change and progressiveness has been, Yellow Springs has been not only the forefront, but was kind of ahead of its time. And maintaining that, to me, is very important. Color. I can provide color with the community that truly understands what is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one thing also I would like to add is, and I think our current mayor, affectionately known as Mayor Pam, has done is fun. I feel like this position needs the smiles. It needs the encouragement that is constantly with something like a position. Times are tough, and we want to make sure that there is someone who is maybe not be a decision maker, but can at least come and get the community together to see, well, what can we do about the decisions that have been made? And do I get another minute to then answer the questions?
Looking specifically for those 3 items, can you just really touch on the exact 3 items
Okay.
that you feel need attention?
I got you. So it said attention, and so I took attention as mayor. So social justice, mainly that cases are individual. Our system now is, and not here, but our system outside of here tends to deal with statistics. I want to make sure it deals much more with individuals and individual cases. Community engagement. If given this position, I want to be invited. I want to know what's going on in this community, whatever it may be. And being neighbors again, I think COVID has spread us out a little too much, and I think it's time, especially through events and through service, doing services, however that looks like, but becoming neighbors once again, because we need to definitely start becoming tighter as a community. We already are, but we have new people that have just arrived. All right. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mr. McQueen. We move on now to the candidates for Village Council, Brian Housh. Mr.
Thank you
Housh?
so much.
Do you
Good
need
evening.
do you need the question repeated?
I got
Okay.
it. Good evening, everyone. And I do want to thank the James A. McKee Association for hosting, once again, Candidates Night. Always the height of the campaign season, and really great to see everyone here. So I want to begin by saying I don't think it's an understatement. Well, in fact, it is an understatement to say that we're living in challenging times. And what we are seeing from the state and federal level is attacks on our community character, on our finances, on our village values. And it is very important that we also think about the need to change our budget trajectory at the village level. We're not in crisis mode right now, but we got to take this very seriously. And that's why I'm running for council, because I know that I will add value to an amazing village team that we've built and bring a lot of the things that are going to make us more successful as a village on behalf of you, our residents. So in terms of the skill that I bring, I want to talk about expertise, network, and institutional knowledge. In terms of expertise, I think most of you know that I was a lawyer. I became a jaded lawyer pretty quickly, but I got to serve both in the public interest field and also in the environmental law side, on the good side. And that was really rewarding. It led to a lot of knowledge that helped when I got my MBA in finance, and also started a business that I ran for 10 years in Bangkok, Thailand, of all places. Pretty amazing experience, but I really understand what it means to be a small business owner. And more recently in my career, I was the Midwest policy manager for a nonprofit, and that allowed me to not only build a great regional and state level network, but to understand how to effectively advocate on behalf of my constituents. In terms of network, I kind of mentioned already that a lot of the skills and the fact that I've been on council for a pretty long time has led to some really great regional connections. I have been part of the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission for 8 years now, and I'm on the executive committee. And that allows me to meet a lot of elected officials. And in fact, currently, the Greene County elected officials are collaborating and coordinating to try to bring more money for transportation and government services that will benefit Yellow Springs and our entire county. This is pretty exciting. This kind of stuff hasn't happened very often, and so it's nice to be part of that kind of initiative. But I'm also really proud of my local network, and I think most of you know that I'm very engaged in just about anything going on in the community. It's also very important to me to be involved in every initiative that we have in our local government, and I love doing that work. And finally, in terms of institutional knowledge. So I think most of you know that I've been on council for almost 12 years. Back in the day, we used to start right after the election. So Mary Ann and I got an extra month and a half on council. It's very important, I think, given the challenging times that we have, given our budget issues, and pretty much everything else, to have somebody on council that has that longevity. Many of you remember John Eastman, and I was really fortunate in my first year in town to work on a project with him for 6 months. We drove to Dayton every day for 6 months, and really I learned about everything about our infrastructure that you could imagine. So that kind of leads into the 3 issues that I'm focused on. One is infrastructure, and that's going to take grants and low-interest loans, but it also takes planning and financing, and we've got to be creative about generating revenues. Secondly, I'm focused on affordable housing, and my legal savvy, the partnerships that we formed, are all going to help to develop the public land that we have already. And I agree with Mark when he said that people should be able to live, work, and play here. And finally, I'm thinking about economic vitality. And I think a little more growth is not only going to help us with revenues, but it's going to help us in terms of keeping our downtown vital, supporting our local businesses, and so forth. So I love serving everyone in our community. You see me out there. I already mentioned I'm really engaged, and I appreciate the work, and I know that I can continue to sustain our community and improve quality of life. So with that, I want to ask for your vote, and I appreciate your support. Thanks a lot.
So of those 3 items that you feel that need attention, what could I say? It's about affordable housing and what else? Infrastructure.
And economic vitality.
Okay, I wanted you to be real specific for the audience. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Our next candidate is Angie Hsu.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angie Hsu, and tonight really is democracy in action. It's very exciting to have 6 people running for village council for 3 seats and a room full of people here to talk to us. I'm running for village council because I feel incredibly privileged and lucky to live here, and it makes me want to give back. It makes me want to serve this community, and it makes me want to ensure that others get to live and thrive here as well. And I'm really focusing on people who have been priced out, families who have been here for generations who can no longer, and individuals who have invested themselves to be a part of this community. Through my work with the Yellow Springs Community Foundation, I see how engaged and passionate our residents, you guys, are. We show up for the causes we believe in. And as I led the development of our guaranteed income program, YS Equity, I saw that the community showed up to support the households that are most in need here. Through our little restaurant, Mazu, and the Who's Hungry Soup Kitchen that runs out of Mazu twice a week, I meet people from all walks of life. These are people whose journeys have led them here, or people who have been here their whole lives who have chosen to stay here. That is part of why we chose to move here. The diversity of this town is why we came in 2018, after spending 8 months driving across the country with an Excel spreadsheet of 30 places that we were considering for our new home. We chose Yellow Springs because we felt, in the middle of January, something special here. Community, neighbors who take care of each other, a history of social justice that is taught to children today, and a deep connection to nature. And while we are all lucky to call this place home, it is not without problems and challenges here. What I've said before is that change is inevitable, but we can drive how that change happens instead of it happening to us. I deeply believe that connection and collaboration is how we solve complex problems. I am, at my core, a team player, and this is the role. This is solving problems as a council of 5 in coordination with the village staff, in connection with the community at large. It is beyond any single individual. I believe in doing the hard work as an individual to research and study what is ahead of us, to listen, to see nuance and complexity, and then aim for real results. So in terms of the challenges facing us, first of all, affordability is key, especially related to housing. This is not new, and I've heard people who have been working on this for 50 years say that we need to continue this effort and commitment to say we want different people of different socioeconomic backgrounds to live here. Without intention, without saying this and addressing affordability and housing, this town will become more homogeneous than ever. Diverse neighborhoods are made up of diverse housing, and that comes directly from progressive zoning. Second, in terms of infrastructure, I've just come from the second budget meeting, and I am learning immensely, very quickly, about the most pressing infrastructure needs. It is critical we get ahead of these needs and these costs, and we budget in smart and efficient ways. We need to address the pressing infrastructure problems that are ahead of us, but we also have to protect funding for other priorities, like housing and the environment and arts and culture. And lastly, as a small business owner, I am witnessing the precarity of our unique and beautiful local business sector. These businesses are a crucial part of the identity of the village and the daily lives of all of us. At the same time, I am eager to learn more about the CBE and explore how bringing in new businesses can provide more jobs and add to the tax revenue for the village. Ever since I announced that I'm running, I have really enjoyed talking to all of you, and I mean that. I like meeting new people, and I like engaging in deep discussion about what affects us all. I'm running because I'm energized thinking about how to better serve a diverse community with diverse needs. I have 2 degrees in public policy, and this campaign has reignited my passion and belief in local government to affect the change that we all want. Lastly, I've heard that there are some questions about my capacity and availability to serve on council. I take all my responsibilities seriously, and like everyone sitting on this stage, I have chosen to make time and space in my life for village council if elected. I am happy to talk to anyone about how I schedule my days. You can take a look at my Google Calendar, and you can see how I balance my personal life, my work life, and my community engagement. But right now, this is what I want to say. I am a mother of 3, I am a business owner, I'm an activist, and I am a candidate for local office. I know myself, and I know my capacity, and I know that I am ready to serve on village council. Thank you.
So, should we be specific about the 3 items that you feel need attention? The environment, housing, and arts and culture? Are those your 3
No,
items?
the first one would be affordability specific to housing. The second is infrastructure and budgeting. And the third one is the local business sector.
All right, I wanted to be very specific, very clear for the audience. Thank you. Scott Osterholm is our next candidate.
Good evening. My name is Scott Osterholm, and I am proud to run for village council in our beloved village of Yellow Springs. I moved here as a junior in high school in 1987 from Bentonville, Arkansas. Yes, it was an eye-opening world to me. But it was one my grandmother raised me to be in. I graduated from Yellow Springs High School in 1988. My first job in town was at the Ye Old Trail Tavern. In 1998, I moved to Irmo, South Carolina to take a job doing stained glass and historical window restoration. When I moved back in 2014, I have been involved with our local government since 2015. It all started with the Human Relations Committee, which is kind of funny. That's how I met Steve McQueen. So it's nice seeing both of us run for office. And I've also done a lot of other community stuff. I was on the Village Manager Search Committee. That's how we got Housh. I was on the Police Chief Search Committee. That's how we got Paige. The funny part about that is they were both my second pick, so I'm really good at the second pick, I guess. Right now, I'm on my second term on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm finishing up my first term on the Planning Commission. I'm running for Village Council to bring a voice of the hard-working class to local government and also bring my experience on these committees to council level. If there's three things I would like to say are important to me is affordable housing, which I have a record on doing from even the Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission, working with Home Inc. and anyone else that wants to give us some. I'm very pro-apartment right now because, as you know, housing prices are ridiculous, and rental housing is even more atrocious. On infrastructure, one of the main things I'd really like to look into is, like, has everyone had the blackouts? You know, it seems like it doesn't take much to get a blackout. Well, I actually talked to the utility department on that one, and it seems to be possibly it's a switching station, and it falls on AES. It's not us. It's not our growth that's causing this stuff. And AES is the old DP&L. Now, if they could fix it and take care of it, that would be great. If they can't, then we might have to look at spending some money to get our own switching station or substation to help alleviate that. And then I'm also for smart growth. When I moved here, the population was a little over 4,000. That's where I want to go. I've had people say, oh, you're for big growth. No, I'm not. I just want to get it back to the levels when I moved here where you had bigger classes in the school system. I mean, we need kids. Because I tell you right now, if our school system goes away, because it ain't never going to come back. And another thing is, like, it would help support our local businesses. When you start seeing local businesses start going out of business, especially in the downtown, that's a warning shot. It has to be taken seriously. We know about the hardware store. And then I'm sure everyone's heard rumblings about Tom's. I can't say fact or nothing, but I've heard the rumblings. And yeah, we need to be able to support our local businesses, especially since we've kind of become a tourist town. And we got to balance it with our quality of life too. But in the off season, as we know, tourism goes away. It's slow. And if we had a little bit more population, maybe we'd be more inclined to shop locally. And I get it, it's a little bit more expensive, but you know what? I'd rather pay for the convenience of helping my neighbor out than watch him go away. So in conclusion, I would just like to say, I'm proud to stand here on this stage with all these people. And I'm also proud that I've put in over 10 years of service to my community already on these committees. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate, Dino Pallotta.
Hello, everyone. Dino Pallotta here. For nearly 3 decades as owner of Dino's Cappuccinos, I have gained a unique daily perspective on the heart of Yellow Springs. My civic involvement serving on key village committees, including but not limited to our planning, BZA, YSDC, and the Chamber Board. That has given me hands-on experience in understanding village policies and development. I will bring proven business and civic experience to our village council and understand the importance of a strong economy and a balanced budget. My background allows me to apply common sense approach to informed decision-making. Crucially, we need diversified thinking on this council. One-minded thinking is unhealthy for government. So what makes me different from the rest of the candidates standing here on this nonpartisan position? Let's address the elephant in the room. While I do not partake in social media, I believe the word is out through all the exhaustive investigation and background of who I am. I am a mainstream Republican, and I won't shy away from that. Of paramount importance, I will be true to myself, and I will be true to you, the villagers of Yellow Springs. Full disclosure, I have made modest contributions to the party, totaling $270 since 2020. More significantly, we have donated over $18,000 to Yellow Springs community programs and organizations during that time. I'm sharing this with you so you have a full understanding of who I am. Lastly, I do not agree with everything at the party, but I do agree with the core tenet of being fiscally conservative and socially responsible. This philosophy dovetails perfectly with the Yellow Springs' current financial challenges we're facing. We must confront our budgetary issues. From the October 1st budget meeting, the village faced an $820,000 deficit for 2026, plus an additional $363,000 for council special projects. This only deepens to over $1 million in 2027. Furthermore, council recently passed a $3,000 raise per new member. This has since been revised from today's budget meeting, which I also attended. The village is now facing a deficit of $512,000 in 2026, plus an additional $132,000 deficit from council special projects. In 2027, we now have a deficit of $750,000 and an additional undetermined amount of money from council special projects, which are not determined at this point in time. Needless to say, we have serious issues ahead, but let's look at our current challenges. My focuses are quite clear: workforce housing and affordable living. We must ensure residents can work here, live here, and play here. This is essential to strengthen the entire community and strengthen our tax base. Infrastructure. Our utilities and roads must be upgraded to keep pace with growth and meet future needs. Thriving downtown and CBE. Growing our business community is the most effective way to increase revenue without raising taxes. And lastly, prioritizing our seniors. With 59% of our population over 50 and 40% of that over 60, we must ensure seniors are at the table to discuss and prioritize the budget for their essential needs. Addressing these fiscal challenges requires responsibility and creativity. I will support staff in securing grants to offset projects that will ease the burden on the residents. I will strengthen partnerships with the Community Foundation, YSDC, and Greene County to encourage business development. I will prioritize a healthy business climate which expands our tax base. This is the most substantial way to increase revenue for essential services. Cresco on the CBE is that prime example. I am running to serve the entire community of Yellow Springs, not just one group, not just one issue. We need new leadership on council to bridge the divide that will bring us together again. I am that candidate who will deliver leadership with communication, clarity, and transparency. Friends are asking me why I'm running and why am I making myself so vulnerable to this. My answer is humble and simple. I love the community, and it's time to give back. I want to replace divisiveness with the unification so we can achieve our shared goals together. We must get back to that. In closing, I read a favorite quote that applies to all of us. It goes like this: I've never considered a difference of opinions in politics, in religion, or in philosophy as a cause for withdrawing from a friend. It's time to get back to that and unify as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pallotta. Stephanie Pearce is the next candidate.
Hello, I am Stephanie Pearce. I have been a part of the Yellow Springs community since 2002 when I moved from a very small town in Kentucky outside of Louisville, which is no longer a small town, and that's something I kind of fear for Yellow Springs as well. My family outgrew the available working class housing here a few years after I moved here, so I can certainly relate to those who have had to leave the village for similar reasons or face that now. I'm a mother of 5 with 1 grandchild, my oldest being 27 and my youngest being a sophomore here at the high school. So when I got down to 2 birds left in the nest, I was able to resettle here in Yellow Springs. And that was in 2021. Now that all my children, most of my children are older, I finally have had the opportunity to be a lot more involved in various organizations and just give back to the community in a way that I was not able to before. I believe in the strength of this village, the way neighbors show up for one another, and the way local businesses and schools anchor us, and the way we work together to make this place a place where everyone feels like they belong. The spirit of collaboration and care is what has inspired me to step forward and run for village council. I bring a pretty diverse and perhaps unique and unexpected background. I have a background rooted in service, small business, and I stay very connected to the community. I come from a family that has a political background. My uncle was the Secretary of State for Kentucky, and my mother retired as a city clerk where I'm from. So the importance of local politics and government has always been front and center. With a degree in fire science, I began my career as a firefighter and a paramedic. When I moved to Ohio, I opened and ran a tailoring business for 17 years. I've worked in public radio and radio for folks with disabilities as well. And today I serve as an office manager for a nonprofit. And so I've always, found working in service is something that has always called to me. As a parent and a grandparent and a local supporter of the businesses here and an advocate for sustainable living, I understand the importance and the care that goes into hard work and balancing both community and everyday life. Every election cycle, candidates are running with affordable housing as a dominant focus, and I think that a lot of the solutions don't come to fruition. And I would like to see some more action and more focus taken on that and not just a lot of talk. I think that understanding the need means understanding what is actually affordable for working class families. The same folks that have been on waiting lists, and waiting for apartments to be built are still waiting for those things to happen. And a lot of them are going to continue to wait even after the developments that were just recently passed due to the lack of actual affordable units that are going to be in that. I think some zoning changes and giving property owners a little more freedom to help the village provide density, to add to the housing is going to go a long way as well. Jobs are an issue in Yellow Springs. We have a lot of great small businesses. But living wages are not necessarily living wages for the average rent or house payment here in Yellow Springs. I think by nurturing local entrepreneurs and existing businesses, we can lift them up, which can in turn help them raise the wages. And we should be seeking and incentivizing purpose-driven industries and building partnerships that connect people to opportunity to help strengthen the economy. The budget deficit needs to have solutions that start with transparency and accountability. Managing a deficit takes care and collaboration, and we need to focus on the things that matter: public safety, infrastructure, and community well-being before we spend on any more frivolous personal agendas. Thanks. All right. Well, something I love and respect about myself is that I have always needed to have purposeful work. And something else is that I have the motivation and drive and the confidence to take on things other people talk a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas about. And I've been told by a few politically seasoned people in town that I don't bring enough ego to this game, but I don't really think that running for this village council is a game. I think of it as a next step in a life I've mostly focused around service, and I look forward to serving on the council.
Thank you. Our final candidate is Senay Semere.
For me, leadership isn't about what we're doing right here. It's not about standing above the crowd. It's about standing with it. The kind of leadership that I'm talking about brings people across generations, ideologies, real differences together in one place. Because all of us here tonight have basically said the same thing, the same key issues: affordable housing, affordable living, sustainability, infrastructure, support for our seniors, et cetera, et cetera. So what seems to be missing? It can't be that we all think the same way but can't get it done. Something is missing. And to me, I think it's how we communicate. I really do. That's where I believe I can be most effective, by bringing real, radical transparency to the village council and by building proactive, two-way communication between council and the community members, because when people feel informed, they feel empowered. And when people feel empowered, they feel like collaboration comes naturally. And that's where I think I can be most valuable. The first thing I want to focus on, so I can be specific so Ms. Marcia doesn't get me, is transformational communication and leadership that requires collaboration. We don't have a shortage of ideas, like I said, in Yellow Springs. We have passionate, creative people who want the best. But we often lack what I would say the structure and the trust between council members and the village to actually execute and get it done. So what changes? It means that we need early engagement, not just public comment at the end of a process. It means that we have to use every available channel that's open to us. Meetings, special media, social media, not special media, even informal community forums. It means meeting people where they are, even at Dino's. Transparency isn't about perfection, right? It's about participation. And when everyone can see the process just gets better. The second issue I want to highlight is economic vitality. That's what I do, that's who I am, that's what I do for a living. I help brands, I help organizations tell their stories, reposition themselves so that they can be better off to monetize their talents and get the resource that they needed for success. Yellow Springs thrives when our local economy thrives. That means helping current small businesses stay strong, stay competitive, and navigate a new world of regulations. Like Tweedledee's yesterday just got shut down, but we're saved by a 2-week stay. How do we get ahead of that? We know it's coming. We are not that insulated. Also, our CBE on the edge of the village is a perfect place for potential anchor tenants. Vernay Labs closed 20 years ago, and with it, it took 200 jobs, right? Those jobs aren't coming back, but what we can do is create an environment that's healthy enough for someone like them to come and be a part of our community. By working with partners like Jobs Ohio and leveraging our creative value-driven reputation, we can try to recruit that tenant, and it won't be easy. Much like Cresco Labs, but they are here now and they are a part of our community. And when it comes to tools like tax abatements and TIFs, we need leadership that understands what that means, how to negotiate them responsibly, and balancing the developer's needs with the village's long-term financial health. I have the experience and the relationships to work to make sure that Yellow Springs gains as much as it gives. The third issue, and maybe the most personal one for many of us here, is affordability. You've heard it. But it's not just affordable housing. It's affordable living. Affordable housing is under the umbrella of affordable living. And we have to recognize it for what it is. Utility costs are up. Rent and mortgage payments are up. People are wondering where their property taxes are going if infrastructure is not improving, right? That is a key tenet of affordable living. Sometimes we are so focused on affordable living, which I am a proponent of, that we forget that people right here are struggling with affordable living, and we have to change that. I know I'm running short on time. So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is keep the foundation of Yellow Springs, the foundation of Yellow Springs. And that doesn't mean by resisting change. It just means by shaping it together and building upon the culture that already exists here. By making sure that growth aligns with our values and strengthens what already makes us so special. I'm an optimist, I am. I believe that with the right leadership, we can turn ideas into real progress. I'm running because I believe in this community, and I believe that my background in community development, business development, and negotiation gives me the tools to get this done. Lastly, my promise to you all is simple. I will be a bridge to the community, the staff, and council. I will communicate openly and honestly at every turn, and I'll make sure that every decision that we make reflects both the heart and the voice of the people right here in Yellow Springs. Thank you.
Thank you, Senay Semere. You've heard from all of the candidates, and now the students are going to get their turn with at least one of the questions, and that question right now for the mayoral candidates only right now. The first is, how will you interact with the school district itself? Mr. McQueen, want to take a stab at it first?
Sure. Well, I definitely plan to absolutely stay very involved with the school district. I have been for the last 7 years by being on the school board and still being on the school board currently. I really appreciate that our current mayor reads to the young kids in Mills Lawn even now. So, excuse me. So I absolutely plan to stay very involved with the school district. It's kind of hard not to. I'm just have been in love with the district ever since I've been working with it and working for it, and I definitely plan to continue to do so.
So many of you don't know that I have a business here, but I do, and it's sitting out there at 88 Dayton Street, right down the hall from the school district office. And Dr. Holden knows I'm not afraid to pop my head in. When I was working with the chamber, on the board of the chamber, we changed our scholarship program into a program that they're developing to create young entrepreneurs in the schools that's not limited to seniors. I've already worked very closely with the school district on a number of projects like that, and I intend to continue doing that, and I'm very accessible to them.
Thank you both. These are some interesting questions and how they've separated them. I guess we could really also ask some of the other candidates, but there are so many other questions. There's a young lady here who's here to help, and you are a middle school student. The questions tonight have come from middle school and high school students, correct? Yellow Springs, the middle school, is that Yellow Springs Junior High? You know, I'm not from here, you can tell. Middle school? Yeah, come on, let's.
I'm Amandine. I'm Amandine. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm Amandine, and I'm in 6th grade.
And so here's a question you can ask the whole group, and anybody can respond. All right, so dear, why don't you just, even though you're...
What is your relationship to Yellow Springs? Did you grow up here?
I didn't grow up here, but I got here as quickly as I could, as soon as I got to Ohio. I came here from living on a sailboat up and down the East Coast, and when I moved here to Ohio, honestly, I was clinically depressed, went through therapy, and they said I needed to change my venue, so I moved from Fort Loramie to Yellow Springs via Troy, but I got here as soon as I could because this is the only town in Ohio worth living in.
I am originally from a place called Marlton, New Jersey. It's over the bridge from Philadelphia. I transferred to Antioch. I actually came here in 2002 to visit Antioch, but I actually started school the summer of 2003. So I have been here ever since, and once again, like I said before, no regrets. Love this place.
So I'm not from Yellow Springs, but I'm from a very conservative suburb of Dayton. And so Yellow Springs was one of the refuges when I was growing up in West Carrollton. What brought me here was my brother was the Mills Lawn principal for 10 years. Had a couple young nephews, and my sister-in-law was working for the Arts Council. And 13 years later, I actually do feel like I'm at home. And every time I drive into town, I have a sigh of relief.
I met my wife from Yellow Springs. So 35 years we've been married, and it was an opportunity in '91 when we first started coming down here. And then a business opportunity. I'm from Cleveland originally, was living in Columbus, doing sales, and an opportunity came to open up Dino's Cappuccinos in 1998. So from that point on, we've been here and just been enjoying it. We finally moved back down here in 2012 and been part of the neighborhood, been part of the village, and it's been a relaxing, wide open experience to understand what a village is and when people interact with each other. It's just camaraderie. the feeling that you have that's brought to us is what makes this village so special, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Thank you. To answer this question, you have 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have that many words. As I said, I moved here in 1987 as a junior in high school, so I have ties to going to school. I graduated in 1988. And one of the funniest things is a high school friend of mine, Michael V. Meister, was going through the voter's guide, and he just looked at me and looks up and he goes, I go, what? He goes, none of y'all are from here. I go, but I've been here the longest. He goes, yep. But yeah, that's where my tie is. I love this community. Even when I was traveling on the road down in South Carolina or just traveling, working, I always made it a point once a year to come back and reconnect with my community.
Thank you. Ms. Hsu?
I mentioned we were on an 8-month road trip figuring out where to live, and we were on Bainbridge Island. Does anyone know where that is? Bainbridge Island in Seattle. We were in an empty parking lot, and we met a stranger there, and we told her we were looking for a new life, and she said, if you ever get the chance, go out to Yellow Springs. And we're like, who are you? Like, are you real? Point being, whoever said, you know, like, it's a known place, it's a special place. So I grew up in Boulder, Colorado. Boulder has changed in ways that are really concerning. It's part of why I'm passionate about protecting the identity of Yellow Springs. And like I said, I feel really lucky that we get to have our life here.
Thank you. Ms. Pearce?
I am a permanent tourist. I actually came here hiking back in 2001. Didn't have a smartphone or didn't use MapQuest. I had a spiral-bound atlas where I used to about once or twice a month go somewhere within driving distance. And I had never heard of Yellow Springs, but I saw a big green blob and a lot of places to go hiking. And I sat at the tavern and had lunch and bought a newspaper, and I ended up getting a room at the motel and went back home, and everybody thought I was crazy when I said I was moving. And it took me about 6 months to, you know, put in that notice and wrap things up, and here I am.
Thank you. Mr. Semere?
Back when I was a single man, I had a group of friends who I would come and hang out with all the time a decade plus ago. From that point, I met a girl, fell in love, had 2 kids, and call this place home. I'm from West Dayton, but my heart is in Yellow Springs. We have a few businesses here. My wife actually today just opened up her nail shop, and so this is our favorite place in the world.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. This next question is for the council candidates only, okay? And I'm going to let our young friend ask that question.
How do you plan to support the downtown businesses?
We can start with you since you have the mic right now.
No problem. First of all, it's a very good question. Business support comes in many shapes and forms. As Director of Minority Business, I oversaw minority business, women-owned business, and veteran-owned business for the 12 county regions, Southern Ohio. A lot of ways that we can do that is partnering with the SBA, the Small Business Association, working with the Small Business Development Center, the SBDC, the MBAC programs, and working with local banks to make sure that there are banking one-on-one programs that make sure that there's relationships with every business, that they have a personal banker, because that's really how finance flows over here. We really have to be specific and invest in our downtown business corridor. As been stated many times, right now it is a balancing act, but I think with the right investments, we can get there.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pearce?
I think that connecting business owners to the proper resources, growing our business association to, I mean, most of our businesses here are small businesses, and starting to use that small business association model and try to form our business association a little more like that, structured to where owners can tap into those resources and know what grants can be applied for and things like that. Bringing in, attracting more business is going to help those businesses grow as well. And I think that's all part of walking those things together at the same time. So,
Thank you. Ms. Hsu?
I think, I can speak for my business, Mazu, and I think what I've experienced from Dino's and Senay's family's businesses, it really is about community. People come for the product, but they also come for the interaction, for the other people who are there, for the sense of belonging. And so that only happens when all of you also show up and bring your friends and your family. So I think that is something that is very, very unique to us and also critical for getting customers through the door and getting people to buy your product. I will say, if any of you have worked in a restaurant, you are only as good as your staff. We are lucky to have an incredible staff, and I had a moment where 3 of my staff were looking for housing, were struggling to find something, and something that was close enough where they would be able to continue to work at our business. I was able to connect with somebody in town who I knew had Airbnbs and make the case for why he should rent to these different people instead of continuing to run an Airbnb. And that is one way we need to think creatively and think about how to take care of each other so that the local workers who are community members can continue to work and live in Yellow Springs.
Thank you. Mr. Osterholm.
Well, I believe one of the first steps we probably need to do is definitely communicate with these businesses and find out what they need, what they are wanting, what and then you can kind of develop somewhat of a plan on that, whether it's financial, or getting more customers in there. We could do maybe promotional. We could do is something that would be cheap, is encourage locals to shop locally. That's the main thing, is like getting customers in there. But before you can address somebody's needs, you got to talk to them.
And I think that's why in the next day or two, the village is going to be coming out, meeting with downtown businesses to find out what we need and what we want, which is a good action to moving forward. The Chamber and YSDC, which I was members of, definitely could help market us. I think our executive director, Philip, has really done a good job in getting us involved with marketing in one of the Ohio magazines. But those kind of initiatives can attract people to look at the Yellow Springs and then find businesses that are worthwhile, and as opposed to being a same business, being unique businesses to us. Also, we have a lodging tax that we could use for marketing that hasn't been done for the downtown businesses that we need to start using to help promote business and to promote Yellow Springs downtown.
So one of the things I was really excited about is that we expanded our planning department to include economic development. And there's been a lot of focus on downtown businesses, but I think we also need to keep in mind that businesses like Cresco will attract good paying jobs. I mentioned before, I think a little bit of growth, we're not going to be a city, but a little bit of growth will attract more people that will patron those downtown businesses. And some of the things that the Development Corporation is talking about is bringing back the revolving loan fund. That was really helpful during COVID to support some businesses. Overall, I love the point that Scott mentioned about how do we start campaigns that really get people to shop at Tom's and to shop local in general. Chamber does a great job. And I am happy to say that we've got a village team and some other organizations that are really supporting this, and that's something we got to keep doing.
Thank you. Thank you all so very much. Now we're going to take questions from our audience here, one of which is, Yellow Springs population is nearing 4,000 and will approach 5,000 as more families move here. And by the way, thank you, young lady. Great job. Thanks so much. The number 5,000 is a threshold that triggers new government responsibilities and threatens the small village identity and village culture. Do you know which responsibilities we will face when that happens? And would you take steps to keep the population below 5,000? Who would like to take that on?
Yeah, I've been very clear on that one. Like I said, I just want to get it right a little bit above 4,000, back to when it was when I moved here in the late 80s. And yes, I do know what the responsibility is, that we might have to go through a change in our government form, which I don't really like, because I like the way our charter was done. I like the idea of having 5 people meet from different walks of life in this community, and they have to come together to make a decision for the benefit of the majority of the community. Not everyone's going to be happy, but I like our government the way it is, so that's why I don't want to be anywhere near 5,000. A little over 4,000, I'm quite happy with.
Thank you. Anyone else want to talk about that?
Yeah, and to go on with what Scott was saying, if we go to 5,000, that threshold becomes we have to take a maintenance issues that are come with roads. Our roads and services now change. That means there's going to be more responsibility on our village as a whole to become a city, which again is going to stress out how are we going to pay for it. It comes back to the budget. How are you going to pay for it if you get to that 5,000 threshold? So those are things that we have to look at to make sure that we stay below that level.
So yeah, the only substantial change is that we'll be responsible for plowing Route 68 in the minimal snow incidents that we have. The reason why that happens is if you do pass that threshold, you're generating more tax revenues, so that's why the state puts it back on us. But if you actually look at the housing developments that are in play, we are not getting anywhere close to that number, and it's not a priority or concern, and it's not something that we need to do as a village.
Anyone else on that topic? All right, we can move on. All council members, what is your opinion regarding the Windsor apartments on the Antioch campus, for or against?
I am for apartments, but I'm not for that particular project, though it is apparently moving forward anyhow.
Can you explain why?
Yes. I think that the tax abatement given to that company is foolish and irresponsible. I think that the community input and the residents that are around that street are going to feel very put out. I think that their concerns were pretty dismissed about that. They were going to plop a couple of 3-story buildings down on a quiet street, which is going to take their parking and basically change, the entire vibe of their street. I think that it can be done in a more gentle way, and that is definitely not a gentle project. So.
Anyone else?
If we have to, I'm joking. This project doesn't uniquely affect me, but it directly affects me. I live next door to where the project is coming, in all transparency. We need apartments, we need housing. The concern with the Windsor project wasn't about Windsor itself. The concern was that local issues should go to those who are most affected first. And the local community, my neighbors, were not against this development. What they wanted was a voice before it was approved and during the process, not at the end of a process. Everyone who I talked to was in favor of roughly 64 units, which started off at 126 or 124. It eventually met at 96. Again, whether we are for or against, it takes that communication that we talked about, that real transparency. We need those apartments, and that is a blighted location. The demolition of the student union was necessary, but understanding what density does, to Stephanie's point, is also. So this is very nuanced as opposed to a for or against.
Well, some of y'all already know this, but I was for the Windsor project, still am. I remember that street being busier when we had the incubator, which was in the old Fells building, which had hundreds of jobs in there, people driving on that street all the time. Antioch was between probably about 15 to 2,000 students at the time. That whole area was busy, it was very busy. I think this might be actually a rebirth to getting back to that. And it was not an easy decision because yes, I did take into consideration the people that lived in that neighborhood. I understand that. But like I said, I try to do what is best for the majority of Yellow Springs. And I'm unapologetic about that because you can't make everyone happy, and I am sorry. But it just seemed like a way to go forward because if not there, where? And if not now, when?
I think when we look at this project, with the 96 units, 15 of those units are going to be affordable housing, and the rest of them are workforce housing, which is something that we have all talked about. Workforce housing is an issue here. Again, work here, live here, play here. The tax abatement, being at 10 years, 15. 10. Anyways, they're getting a 75% tax abatement, which means we're getting 25% taxes, property taxes, on property that is educational that we had 0 on before. So again, this goes back to you're going to increase tax base. We're going to get some revenue in here, and it's going to benefit all of us. East North College has to open all the way up again to make the traffic pattern easier. It's something that's very important that has to happen in order for this project to be successful, in my opinion.
So besides what was mentioned about addressing the blight, the affordable housing, I think it's important to keep in mind that this is infill development. We have the utilities there. It's one of the smartest places for us to do housing development, and I think we all agree we need some apartments. Opening East North College, that has to happen. I think I made that very clear at the council table. And I will say we're at the beginning of this process. We have not agreed to any tax abatements at this point. That is still negotiation. And I know from meeting with several of the neighbors, because I'm in that neighborhood as well, that was an issue. We addressed it. Traffic study was an issue, and we made it a condition that whatever that traffic study and parking study shows needs to be reflected in the final plan. So I believe it's been transparent, and these discussions are just beginning.
I would like to piggyback off of what Senay said about process, because I would be very interested in seeing how we can communicate with residents, especially those most affected, about changes. I think there's a very similar experience with Short Street as well. People felt like they weren't included in the process and were blindsided by the process. Second of all, these apartments, I'm also for apartments. I've talked to people who live here right now, maybe an older couple who no longer has kids at home. They would like to downsize to an apartment, and that would make their house available for other people, for a family with children, for young people who want to live together as housemates. In terms of the tax abatement, I think we need to negotiate aggressively on behalf of the village and the people here. So that is also a nuanced process, and I think we can do that in a way where we benefit from it and it serves us. Last of all, I recently learned that when the new bike path was put in, there was a lot of resistance because change is hard. And if you study psychology, there are a lot of interesting research studies that show that we as humans, we struggle when things change. And oftentimes, those things change for our benefit, but the process is not easy. So we need to trust in each other. We need to trust our local government. We need to trust the village as those changes happen, and know that the end goal is something that's better for all of us.
As someone said earlier, change is inevitable. You just have to make sure you have a strong foothold when it happens. That's the difference. I don't want to not include the mayoral candidates down there. You guys have been so very patient. So one of the questions from the audience is, if you were informed that ICE agents were in the village, how would you respond?
Wow. So I'll come right out and say I'm not a fan of ICE. I'm not a fan of anything the administration is doing when it comes to literally snatching up people. I mean, because that's all that's really happening, is they're snatching up people, working people, families. In fact, they don't even seem to be looking towards actual criminals while they're doing this. And unfortunately, people are enjoying this. And I'm really happy to be in a place where no one here is like that. But what I would like to do is, if given a position of mayor, talk directly to chief of police as well as police and come up with a plan for what we can do. I would also like to go directly to the community, who's willing to stand in front of whoever, find out whose homes would be targeted, and actually be right there in the forefront. A lot of us here have no issue with speaking our minds, protesting how we feel, whether it goes directly to the government or not. I would be more for that than anything else.
Steve and I agree. I think that what's happening right now in our country is despicable. I think that there is a need to follow the law, which is something that the mayor's court needs, the mayor as the head of the mayor's court needs to do. However, there is also a moral responsibility as long as it's not crossing the law. And I think talking with our village council, talking with our police department, and coming up with a proactive plan to do something would be a good position for the mayor to take. Again, it's not legislative, but it's certainly something that can be used to collaborate. That office can be used to collaborate and bring it to a consensus of what we should be doing as a village. We definitely need to protect all of our citizens, even those that maybe not have the right piece of paper.
Thank you both. For anyone, this next question, data centers drive up electric bills, even here in Yellow Springs. But apparently there's a loophole for municipalities to produce their own electricity. How would you investigate this for the village of Yellow Springs? Anyone? You have 1 minute. And Mr. Turner is really running that clock, I'm telling you.
I mean, I'll start out by saying we do have our own electric utility. And even though there are some charges to our electric bills that we don't have control over, when you look at the rates, even though we are 100% renewable, we have some of the lowest just straight up electric rates around the region. But I think in terms of self-generation, I would love to do more around battery storage. There are ways to set up microgrids. These are all things that we're open to. But we do have our own electric utility, and except for the squirrels in AES, things go pretty well. And you get service a lot quicker than any place else. I think, by, Johnny's got the number, but by hours compared to other places.
I guess all I wanted to add, I agree with what you said, but I think what I would add to that is and that's the downside of having our own power is we don't get qualifications for. And that's just the downside. To where people live in Springfield, Virginia, they're able to use heap assistance. We're not because of our municipality.
I'll just say that I think this question is a good example of just knowing, if we don't have the answers, everybody kind of looked at themselves here, is knowing how to seek out and tap into the right resources for the right answers for that, and not pretend like we know the solution to everything.
And that's why we have Johnny Burns, just for that reason. He's the one that brings he's the one that brings the knowledge that gets us to the next step. Thank you, Johnny.
This next question is specific to Brian Housh. The low-income housing tax credit project was one of the most talked about housing projects last year. What would you have done differently?
So one of the things that was really important to me, I know there was a lot of talk about lack of transparency with that project, but when those first meetings happened a year and a half ago, I was the one elected official at those meetings that reported out to the rest of council. I had memos in every packet. I shared the minutes from that meeting. And so one thing that I would have liked to have seen happen more is that information sharing amongst everyone. So, in all our elected bodies. I think it's important to keep in mind that when there are property transactions involved, there are going to be some executive sessions, all right? There are some negotiations that just happen behind the scenes. I mean, this is common. We can't avoid that. But I will say transparency was really important to me. I tried my best to share that with fellow elected officials, with community members. I never avoided a question. Otherwise, I mean, we learned a lot. It was it was new territory for everyone. So I will say it will go a lot differently in the future because we have that experience. And yeah, it was rough. It was yucky. I'm sorry, but it was a good attempt at trying to bring affordable housing, and it's very hard to do that at scale. So we tried.
Thank you. For anyone, have any of you researched what municipalities can do to protect immigrants, trans, and unhoused people? Yes or no? If it is yes, what have you found out?
Well, I'll just say yes, and we do have a resolution on the books that highlights how we are protecting non-U.S. citizens. In fact, kind of related to what our mayor candidates were saying, it's not what we do, it's what we don't do. We do not cooperate with ICE, and that is following the lead of all the other progressive municipalities out there that have these in play. I heard immigrants.
Yes, yes, immigrants. That was in the question as well.
Okay.
Yes.
When I first moved here, I was a part of a group of people who were looking into what it meant to be a sanctuary city or to have a sanctuary building. And I think what we learned from that is you really need to have a community that's aligned on these values, and that it happens from different angles. And as a parent now of a kid who goes to this school, it's part of ensuring that trans rights is something that schools are teaching, or immigrant rights, or that there's values that are being instilled from different aspects of the community. And I think there's a lot of ways. We have so many nonprofits here. They meet regularly, and they're very connected. There's a lot of different resources that they're providing. So that could be women's health that is not accessible if you don't have a certain status, or mental health resources. So I don't think there's a single answer, but it means a community standing up and say, we care about everyone who is here, and we're willing to utilize our different resources and our different organizations to provide them the care and protection they need.
You both have said very good things. I have my own take on this, because I'm just the way I am, but because this is kind of a really dark time of what we're seeing happen to our fellow citizens, our fellow Americans, and just it's just horrendous. And that there's a part of our country that allows this, and like Steve said, cheers for it. But one of the things I think we could do is like steal a page from the French underground out of World War II. And what I mean by that is like going, if we do come up with any kind of plan, we don't make it public. We don't put it on Facebook. We don't put it on cell phones. We have personal meetings and we talk in person, and we come up with a plan that way. That way, it's our secret. And the other side does not know what the heck's coming. And that's how we should proceed this way. Thank you.
I think this question is less about research and more about the culture and morality of Yellow Springs. Social justice, human rights, trans rights, Black Lives Matter is embedded into the village of Yellow Springs. So the research that we do, the actions that we take place are already here. There are so many organizations that are already protecting these things that we are talking about. We're very fortunate to have so many 501c3s in this community that are fighting the good fight. I myself was a part of the Diversity Empowerment Council at the state level, advocating for all of these marginalized groups and making sure that the most marginalized people did not get marginalized resources. And that's what intentional interaction and support for the most unsupported people looks like. It's about protecting them and making sure that we put ourselves in a position to lead by example.
So one of the things that I said earlier is that the mayor's court is not legislative, it is judicial. One of the things that's important about that, and the reason that we have a mayor's court, is for local justice, for local infractions. We're able, as a mayor's court, we're able to take into account all of these things that other communities would not be able to. And so I think it's important that as mayor, I would take a look at the individual and the individual situations of any of these marginalized groups and the person themselves that's involved, and make sure that they get true justice. And I don't mean retribution, I mean true justice for all parties.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of that and basically say that it's more about support. I want to make sure you know that you have an ally in leadership. And as mayor would be, yes, social justice would be extremely important, understanding that you're not facing a regular system that is already attempting to oppress you, but is here to help out marginalized people and the importance of that. And so knowing that your leadership is your ally, I think is really important, and that's where the research would lie, is in making sure people can look at any position up here and say, oh, okay, good, thank goodness. These folks are on my side. They understand my plight.
And lastly, it takes a village, and this is what communication is always all about. Communication is the key. We know if we talk, we speak to each other, we know when an issue is coming up, and we know we can surround and protect who we need to protect. That's the key of that's special for us in this village. The communication brings us all together, and that's what unites us.
And of course, we can see that everyone feels the same way. But as a parent of a trans person, I appreciate this community as being a bit of a refuge for my child. It is why I'm so involved with the Yellow Springs Pride. And I think as a municipality, something that we can do, I think, so the coming up council meeting, there's going to be a proposal heard about banning the conversion therapy. And I think it's, whether or not that's an enforceable thing legally or whatnot, I think that things like that we can do on the local government level at least sends a signal. And it, whether it's ceremonial or whatnot, it just lets people know that this is that type of community, and that ripples out. And so when you take a stand as a community, it can really impact, just what people around you are doing as well, other communities.
I think this is at 8:32. This is a great time to wrap up for the evening. We are supposed to end at 8:30, and I think that was a beautiful subject to end this program. I thank you for allowing me to stand here and listen to all of you. I'm supposed to be keeping up with my watch, but I've been listening intently on what you all have to say, and I want to say to all of you that Yellow Springs is a magical place. And I mean that complimentary. We're going to let the boss take it away. Thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Let's hear it from Marcia again, please. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I believe all the candidates have agreed, or I'm saying you're going to stick around and give people an opportunity to speak to you if they would like to. The back of the room, there is some information about James A. McKee Association. Please check it out. Some of our candidates have brought material for you to take, use, look at, whatever. Please do that. But most of all, vote. Vote, vote, vote.